Today's San Francisco 49ers Report by Chat Sports is sponsored by RexMD, the #1 go-to spot for men's online telehealth. You can get up to 90% off by using that link down below. It's rexmd.com/chat. As for what we're talking about on today's show, could the San Francisco 49ers sign pass rusher Justin Houston along this defensive line to help out Nick Bosa? Throughout his entire NFL career, he has been a great pass rush specialist. But first, to all of you who support our show, all of you who subscribe, I just want to say I greatly appreciate it, especially those of you who donate to the show with super thanks as well as super chats. Toby Willis is a real one. He sent me this 49ers Cletus. Cletus is the Fox Sports robot that you see that comes crashing through before game broadcasts, and he sent us this at the end of the season in hopes that we'd be able to use this for a Super Chat giveaway prior to the NFC Championship game. Unfortunately, it came in the mail after the NFC Championship game, and because the Niners didn't make it to the Super Bowl, we weren't able to debut it. So I wanted to show some love to him for being an absolute real one. Then on our live show, John Aiello has been a Super Chat MVP all throughout this season. He sent us in a $100 Super Chat because he wanted to see who Cletus was. So John, Toby, and to the entire Niner gang that supports the show, we do appreciate it. Let's go back to Justin Houston here. Could the Niners sign him in free agency on the cheap to be a good rotational pass rusher on the other side of the line of scrimmage from Nick Bosa? For a long time, Justin Houston has been a very, very good player, and honestly, he could be Canton bound because he's had that good of an NFL career spanning many, many years. And the production has been there for a long time for Justin Houston, and as he continues to get older, he continues to have some really good production. In 2022, after signing a short-term deal with the Baltimore Ravens, he played 14 games this past year, 9.5 sacks, 21 tackles, 17 quarterback hits to go along with 7 tackles for loss. In 2021, 4.5 sacks, 15 games played, but still 17 quarterback hits, 6 tackles for loss, and 34 tackles. In 2020, 8 sacks, and the year before that, 11 sacks. So yes, he might be 34 years old, but because of that, you can get him at a very cheap price. And when I watched the Ravens this year, then when I went back and rewatched the tape, honestly, Justin Houston looked pretty spry. Still had some athleticism. Still had some bursts coming off the line of scrimmage. And I think this guy can still play. Obviously, you don't want him to be an every down pass rusher. But as a rotational pass rusher, you can do worse with more expensive options and guys who don't have the level of production of Justin Houston. So really, to summarize the thoughts here, Justin Houston, as an affordable one-year deal, I am totally in. And you might be watching right now saying, well, after having the production that he had with Baltimore here in 2022, he might not be all that affordable. Well, if you look at his contractual history, I actually think he is going to be. Because in July 2022, he signed a one-year, $3.5 million deal with the Ravens. Year before that, 1 year is $2 million. And in March of 2019, he signed a 2-year deal, $24 million. Didn't end up going through that entire contract with a lot of production, right? And $12 million isn't what you want to pay a guy like that if the production isn't there. But he's not going to be paid $12 million on an average annual value basis. I think it's going to be more so $3.5 million and somewhere in that neighborhood. This 49ers defensive line, opposite of Nick Bosa, it's been a big talking point this offseason. It just needs to get better. Outside of Bosa's 18.5 sacks, a major drop-off to 5 sacks for Samson Ebukam, who's also going to be a free agent. Charles Ameni, who had 4.5. Drake Jackson with 3. Kevin Givens with 2. They need to bulk up on that defensive line so that Bosa can be fresh later in the season, but also they simply need to get after the quarterback a little bit more. I'll tell you this, right here on the 49ers Report, this is your one-stop shop for all things 49ers free agency all throughout the year. You see, down here, diehard Niner fans, subscribe today. NFL free agency starting on March 13th. Year-round, we give you coverage on the San Francisco 49ers every single day. Grind and hustle That's what me and Cletus are all about. Today's 49ers report is presented by RexMD, the #1 leader in men's telehealth, up to 90% off if you head to rexmd.com/chat. Fellas, do you sometimes lack confidence in the bedroom? A lot of people have had those nights where they get too nervous. Maybe they had too much to drink. There's nothing worse than not being able to put the stick shift in drive when you need it the most. But have no fear, RexMD is here spreading cheer even when you have a few too many beers. 16-Bar King, what do you think about that? RexMD is FDA approved and the most trusted leader in men's telehealth. They have sponsored today's 49ers report to help you always be prepared, fellas. RexMD has made it simple, easy, and cost-effective to help all the men out there last longer and feel more confident in the bedroom. RexMD makes getting generic and branded Viagra or Cialis easy because everything's online, even the prescription, and they deliver it discreetly to your door. No waiting rooms, no embarrassing trips to the doctor, no insurance, and no copays. Take advantage of their best deal they've ever offered and save up to 90% off and only pay $2 per dosage with our exclusive link. Head to rexmd.com/chat for this limited time deal. Starter packs of generic Viagra or Cialis are now available for our listeners and our viewers to get started. That's rexmd.com/chat for up to 90% off. Let's begin answering some of your questions here on the show. This one coming in from Mr. Block Ice. $2 super chat. Who should we put the franchise tag on? Now, keep in mind that we are recording this during our live show on Tuesday. The franchise tag window has opened. If there is a player who could get franchise tagged, a name to watch, Robbie Gould at that kicker spot. Right now, he's top 5 in highest average annual value for kickers. The franchise tag would bring up his salary from about $4.5 million to just over $5 million. Guy's 29 for 29 in his playoff career. Getting a little bit older, but not showing his age at all. I'd think about that. Daniel, $10. What's the best option for a quarterback we can either trade for, sign in free agency, or a quarterback in-house? Trade Aaron Rodgers. He's the best trade asset out there at that quarterback spot, albeit his age. Free agency, probably Derek Carr, because he's the best available free agent quarterback out there. Keep in mind, Lamar Jackson went back to the Ravens on that franchise tag. And in-house, everything that I've kind of gathered from being at the Super Bowl, talking with people around the league, Kyle Shanahan really likes what Brock Purdy was able to do this past year. But Trey Lance will have his opportunities. He's going to get all the reps throughout OTAs. He's going to get a lot of the reps, in my opinion, during training camp as well. And if he is balling out, slinging the rock, why move off of Trey Lance after you drafted him number 3 overall and used 3 first-round picks to get him? Saints Man with the $20 donation. We need to buff up our offensive line to better protect the quarterback. I agree. In the biggest games of the year, I thought San Francisco's offensive line got manhandled a little bit by the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles. I have question marks at center, right guard, and right tackle. The whole right side of that offensive line, a little bit of a question mark. Jake Brendel's going to be a free agent. Spencer Burford going into year 2. Mike McGlinchey, a free agent. And some buzz right now that Colton McKivitz is being groomed to be the starting right tackle. How's he going to hold up against a guy like Micah Parsons or Hassan Reddick? That concerns me a lot. Rich Milich, $5 donation. If there are 3 questions on the offensive line, remind me of the most likely offensive line free agents. So at right guard, the best is Isaac Seumalo of the Eagles. He could get between $8 to $10 million per year. At right tackle, Mike McGlinchey is one of the best looming free agent targets at right tackle. Kayla McGarry from the Atlanta Falcons is a good player. Jauan Jennings going to be a free agent. At center, Ethan Pocic is a really good center. He'd be a dream target for the Niners. Holland Tracy with 5. Carr is a crybaby. Yeah, we've talked about Derek Carr here on the show, and I don't think it's realistic. The Niners, it's pretty telling, haven't shown a lot of interest, and Derek Carr either. Look, if you can't handle the pressure from the Las Vegas Raiders media and fan base, how are you going to handle it in New York with the Jets or with the Niners when if the seat gets hot, you certainly feel it, especially for a team that has Super Bowl aspirations. So what do you think? You tell me. Should the Niners sign Derek Carr? S for sign, P for pass. Let us know down in the comment section. Mr. Block Ice, do we pay Jauan Jennings or let him go? I like his play so far. So he is an exclusive rights free agent. And almost every time there's a guy who is an exclusive rights free agent, has that tabbed on him, they rarely leave. So I believe that Jauan Jennings is going to come back. He's like kind of under contract for this upcoming year. I do expect him to come back and be that good third down option that he's been for this football team over the last couple of years. Last one from Rich Milich and our boy Cletus right here. My interest is on the defense. How much of a personnel and strategy adjustment will this be? I think that is the bigger story because of that unit carrying the team this past year. Your thoughts? Rich Milich always bringing the heat with some really good questions. I don't think that the Niners are going to really change a lot to their scheme. Kyle Shanahan said in his end of the season press conference that, look, we want to maintain a similar scheme because we've had one of the best defenses in the NFL over the last couple of years, and I think that that's why the Niners didn't hire Vic Fangio. He kind of likes to run that hybrid 3-4, whereas the Niners have the personnel to run a 4-3. That's the other part of this. You'd have to cater your offseason objective to trying to bring in different players at linebacker, by the way, and along the defensive line if you want to change your scheme. So I think the Niners are going to have a similar scheme here. I don't think there's going to be much of an adjustment. Maybe as compared to maybe going wide 9 up front, which is when those 4 down defensive linemen are spread out so wide, they close it in a little bit more and maybe a little bit more often. But I do expect, given what Shanahan said, the fact that Steve Wilks runs a 4-3 historically, there's not going to be a huge change on the defensive side of the football. Make sure you subscribe so that you can get your questions answered, your super chats in, and so that you can be informed on all things Niners all throughout the year. Bang, bang, Niner gang. Subscribe today. This is your go-to spot for all things San Francisco. Cletus appreciates it as well.